What's up, Average Dad fans? Welcome back to another video, and today we are discussing tariffs. Yes, a topic I never thought I would have to discuss on my channel, but here we go. So today I am going to tell you what the US tariffs mean for you, depending on the products you buy and where you're located, and of course I'll mainly be discussing smartphones imported from China, because that's what I do. Let's go! So for those that have been directed to this video because you searched for tariffs, hello, I'm the Average Dad and I have this YouTube channel and this store. Yes, about a year ago I set up an import store based in the UK where I ship the latest and greatest smartphones from the Asian market. In turn, the best smartphones you can buy. And I've been shipping to over 40 countries for around 11 months now. 3,500 orders plus in that time frame. And the USA makes up the majority of those sales. So, context. While Mr. Trump was running for election, he had constantly mentioned about introducing tariffs, essentially wanting all business to be kept inside the USA, creating more jobs, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to get too political here. You can vote for who you want to vote for. I'm in the UK, so the US election in terms of voting has nothing to do with me. There are some things, and I'm just going to say it now, that I agree with Donald Trump on. There are also a lot of things that I don't agree on. And of course, tariffs being one of them. But I should say, for those outside the US, or for you inside the US, think of tariffs as customs fees. In the USA, you have been extremely lucky because you haven't been impacted by customs fees. Here in the UK, we have a 20% VAT or 20% import fee if you're buying a product out with the UK. In some countries in EU, it goes from 20% all the way up to 40%. And then in India, you can be charged as much as 100% of an import fee. So tariffs aren't new, they are only new to the USA. Now that we've got that out the way, it's important to note that what isn't happening anywhere else in the world is different custom fees or rates depending on the country you're shipping from. Mr. Trump is the first and only person to introduce this, very publicly I might add. So, where are we at today? Well, we are in a very good place because up until only hours ago, there was a 145% tariff on imported electronic goods to the USA. That meant items purchased from the Average Dad tech store, such as smartphones or tablets or smartwatches, would have been subject to a up to 145% tariff, custom fee, however you want to look at it. And folks, we know that is just not sustainable. Nobody wants to purchase a phone for $1,000 and then find out when it gets to your country you're going to have to pay an extra $1,450 for it. So I had internally been looking at legal ways around this. For example, perhaps shipping it to me first in the UK and then shipping from the UK to the US customers, because that would avoid the direct tariff from China to the USA. However, just as mentioned a few hours ago, we had some unbelievable news. Trump has backtracked on his tariffs regarding computers, electronics, and most importantly, smartphones. So as of now, you buying anything from the Average Dad tech store will not be impacted by tariffs in the USA. I repeat, there will be no increase in price on my store or any other import store, and there will also be no customs fee for your phone, smartwatch, tablet, anything from my store. This is extremely good news for obvious reasons, both for me and for you. I'm not going to sit here and say that I wasn't relieved and delighted as a small business owner. I can only imagine how companies like Apple and Samsung were feeling. I think when I last checked, Apple had lost roughly $750 million in the stock market in just the past 6 days. So Apple are breathing a sigh of relief. I have to also probably thank Tim Cook and Apple for the pressure they put on Mr. Trump, because I believe the Illuminati is real to some degree, and I believe there are far more influential people than the president or king or ruler of any countries. There's always somebody with a boss, even the president. So, unfortunately for other businesses that perhaps deal in clothing or car manufacturing, car parts, maybe you're a soft furnishings company, materials. Unfortunately for you, if you have a business in China and you import goods to the US, today the 145% tariff still exists. This is only covering smartphones, computers, and some other electronics. Now, I really and truly hope this is scrapped for all goods in the near future. There has been a 90-day pause on tariffs for those countries bending the knee, if you like, going into negotiations with Donald Trump about the tariff. They've got a 90-day reprieve. But for China, they weren't allowed a reprieve because they're against it, and rightly so. So they were always going to get this. As of now, you will have potentially tariffs added to your orders. But as mentioned, if you're ordering electronic goods such as smartphones, tablets, computers, you will not be subject to these fees. Now, I should also mention that since the fees or tariffs were introduced recently, I have shipped around 60 phones to the USA and 0 have had any tariffs or fees attached. And that was before the announcement that these are now exempt. So for those in the US, do not worry. Look at the store, find your favourite smartphone, safe in the knowledge that the price you pay at checkout is the final price you will pay. I will not be looking for any more customs fees or tariffs from you. It is a crazy world we live in where an individual can just decide to double the cost of your device. And when you look at the iPhone, I talked about the loss they had. The only people this would impact really is the customer. Because your $1,000 iPhone was suddenly going to be $2,500. And that was very real, folks. Until the announcement in the last 12 hours, it was very real that the iPhone 17 was going to have to cost double the price in every previous year. That's insanity to me. Not just because it's an iPhone, but because phones are already too expensive. As a business owner that sells mobile phones, I will always sit here and tell you that phones are expensive. In my opinion, they're too expensive. But we have to go with what the market, what the companies are asking for. And we've kind of learnt to deal with that. But when a politician comes in and tries to decide what your phone is now worth, that's where I and many others draw the line. So, that's your short update on the tariffs. I've left a link to the BBC News article in the description. Do your research to see if your company is impacted, please. And if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments and I'll respond to you over the next couple of days. Now, for regular viewers, I will be back soon with a smartphone review. Yes, Sunday nights at 8 PM British Standard Time, I release my full review. And this week, it's a budget phone. A rare occurrence on the Average Dad channel, but we have a truly budget phone that truly crushes some of the mid-range contenders. But we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Until next time.